So hi everyone, welcome to our second session of the training. So yesterday we discussed about architecture of Oracle Goldengate. So let us revisit that. So you have source database and target database. Every database has its own transaction logs in which the changes are stored. So in case of Oracle, these transaction logs are known as redo logs or backup of redo logs, which are known as archive logs. So once you do any DML change or DDL changes, it stores the changes are stored in the transaction logs. So whenever you do any DDL or DML, all changes will be recorded into transaction logs, that is redo logs in case of Oracle. And once the changes are recorded into redo logs, you configure your capture process, Goldengate capture process. Now redo logs contains committed transactions as well as uncommitted transactions. So there would be committed as well as uncommitted transactions. Capture process is going to scan your transaction logs in sequential manner and will capture only committed transactions. It is going to capture only your committed transactions. Once it captures your committed transactions, it writes them to the trail file on local system, which are known as local trail. Once the data is available into your local trail, Goldengate data pump process reads the data out of your local trail, sends it over TCP/IP network and writes it to trail file on target system, which are known as remote trail. Once the data becomes available into remote trail, the Goldengate delivery process reads the data out of your remote trail and apply it to target database. So you have three Goldengate processes configured over here: capture, pump and delivery. Along with that, there are trail files, which are binary format trail files, and these trail files are platform independent. They are not dependent on the platform. So the way the format of trail file is always same if you are generating them on Windows, if you are generating them on Linux, if you are generating them on Sun Solaris or Exadata or whatever platform which is supported by Oracle Goldengate. So if you see here, every process has a source to read from and a target to write to. So source of capture process is transaction logs of database and target is local trail. Pump process source is local trail and target is remote trail. Delivery process source is remote trail and target is target database. So every process reads the data from its source and writes it to some target. So capture process is reading the data from the transaction logs of the database where the data is getting stored. Every database will have its own transaction log. Then once it captures it, it writes them to the trail file. Pump process source is local trail and target is remote trail. Delivery process source is remote trail and target is target database. So in case of bidirectional, what you do, you create the capture, pump and delivery process on the other side. So bidirectional is nothing but two-way unidirectional. Just like you configured the Goldengate processes from site A to site B, now configure the unidirectional setup from site B to site A. Now this site which we were earlier calling as source, so that site will be known as site A, and the one which we are referring as target is site B. So whatever transactions are happening into site B now, it will have its own transaction log. So you will create Goldengate capture process which will read the data out of your transaction logs. There will be local trail. Once the data becomes available into local trail, the Goldengate data pump process will read the data out of your local trail and apply it to remote trail on site A. Then you will configure the replicate process on site A, which will read the data from your remote trail and apply it to target database. So in case of bidirectional scenario, you will have capture, pump and delivery process on both the sides. You will have capture, delivery and pump present on site A as well as site B. Capture process is also known as extract process. Delivery process is interchangeably known as replicate process. So going forward, if you hear the name of extract, that means we are talking about capture, and whenever you are hearing the word replicate, that means we are talking about delivery process. So now let us do the installation. Prior to that, in integrated capture, so in case of classic capture, what happens? Your extract process reads the transaction logs of data directly. Now, it may have some performance impact. The reason being, extract process is external to the database. As a result, from 11G R2 onwards, Goldengate introduced the concept of integrated capture. So in case of integrated capture now, the extract process does not read the transaction logs of data directly. What happens in case of integrated capture? There is log miner database in between. So whatever changes are happening or getting returned into redo logs, the copy of those changes gets returned into the log miner database, and from there on log miner passes on those changes, whatever changes are required by the extract process in form of LCRs. LCR stands for logical change records. So now let us start the installation. Let us see how we can install Oracle Goldengate in our environment. So prior to installation, we need to do the download of Oracle Goldengate. So let us download Oracle Goldengate from Oracle website. So what we'll do now, in Google we can type download Oracle Goldengate. We'll see. So we'll be redirected to Goldengate is a middleware product. So now we are on to Oracle Network site. So here we have the option. So if you see here, Oracle Goldengate 12.2.0, there are various versions available. So if you see here, Oracle Goldengate 12.2.0.1 here. So first of all, you need to select which operating system you have, and you need to choose which database you are downloading Oracle Goldengate for. So suppose your source is on Oracle and target is on DB2, and source is platform is Linux and target is AIX. So what you need to do is you need to download separate binaries for source and target. Along with that, you need to choose what your operating system and database is. So in our case, what virtual machine we have Linux as a platform and database is Oracle. So what we'll do, we'll download Oracle Goldengate binaries for Oracle and Linux. So if you see here we have Oracle Goldengate 12.2.0.1.1 for Oracle on AIX. Then you have Oracle Goldengate 12.2 for HPUX is different. Then for Linux binaries are separate. Then Sun Solaris 64-bit binaries are separate. Similarly, if you have DB2 database, you need to download as per your operating system. Then again for MySQL binaries are available. Postgres. Informix database support has been introduced from 11GR2. NoSQL database has been introduced in Oracle Goldengate from 12C. So all the database binaries for Sybase, if your source database is Sybase on AIX, you need to choose. So first of all, you need to identify what is the database which you are downloading Oracle Goldengate for and on which platform it is hosted on. So in our case, it is Oracle database on Linux x86-64. Similarly, Oracle Goldengate for big data. So for big data, we have 12.3 version available as well. Then you have Oracle Goldengate for mainframes as well. So Oracle Goldengate support is available even for big data and mainframes as well. So in our case, let us start. So we know that our Oracle database is Oracle and platform is Linux. So the binaries which we are going to download is this one. So let us accept, and we can download these binaries. Anyways, we have completed the download, and in this virtual, so once I'll sign in, the download will start. So once you have downloaded, you need to transfer them to your server. So in our case, the virtual machine which you will have, which you will receive in those virtual boxes, you will have the Goldengate binaries available. Goldengate binaries are available in /home/Oracle. The binaries are hosted in /home/Oracle. Database binaries as well as Goldengate binaries, both are hosted. So these are the binaries. So these are the binaries: FBO GGS Linux x86 ship home.zip. So what we need to do, we need to unzip. So this is the zip file. Once you will download, this zip file will be downloaded. So you need to unzip it. So unzip fbo.zip. Once you unzip it, it will start unzipping. Now I already have this unzipped. That's why it is saying replace. Do you want to replace? So I'll do all. So it will now replace. So on the virtual boxes which you will receive, though you will just have the binaries. You just need to unzip it. FBO Linux ship home x64.zip. You just need to unzip it. Once you unzipped it, so herein you will find that a folder will be created with this name, FBO GGS Linux x64 ship home. Now remember, Goldengate for installation purpose, just for installation and binaries purpose, you don't require more than 5 GB, just for installation purpose. However, for storing the trail files, you will require some mount point. So we will discuss that part later on. However, for the installation of Oracle Goldengate, in fact, less than 5 GB is also correct. Means that will also suffice your requirement. So once you unzip it, next you need to go into this folder, FBO GGS Linux. So right now we have our source as Ggate 1 and target as Ggate 2. So currently we are installing Oracle Goldengate on source side, that is Ggate 1. Remember, every instance you will have to create your own uh, binaries. You will have to install binaries on both the sides. However, currently right now we are installing binaries on Ggate 1, which is our source. Next we'll move to installing the binaries on Ggate 2, which would be our target. So now we are into the folder FBO GGS Linux x64. So here let us go to disk 1. You will find here run installer over here. Run installer is here. So let us set the display. From 12C onwards, Goldengate introduced GUI based installation. Prior to 12C till 11G R2, it was command line installation. So what you needed to do, you just need to unzip till 11G R2. You needed to unzip the directory and then your installation was completed. However, from 12C onwards, they have introduced the GUI based installation. So now we need to run this run installer. So for that purpose, we set the display by using xhost plus. Now save all the instructions you have in the document, the training kit which you will receive. So once you are done, you just need to run installer over here. Press enter. So it will do some pre-checks. Once pre-checks are passed, it will open a window. So it checked the temp space, it checked the swap space, and once all the conditions are passed, then it will open the GUI. Now when you open the GUI, it will ask you that whether you want to install this Oracle Goldengate for Oracle Database 12C or Oracle Database 11G. Now remember, the binaries which we have installed right now, these binaries are supported for 12C and 11G database. If your database is 10G or 9G or any other database, you need to use binaries which are lower than 12C. So 12C Goldengate 12.2 version supports only Oracle databases 11G and 12C. It does not support databases which are on 10G. So now you need to select what is the version of your database. So in our case, our Oracle database version is 12C. If in organization where you are working, if your database is 11G, then you need to select the second option. However, ours is for 12C database, so we'll select the first option and then click on next. So once you click on next, it asks you where do you want to install Oracle Goldengate. So what we'll do, we'll go to this location and create one directory. Now the documentation which you will receive in the training kit, you have the installation document as well. You have Goldengate installation 12C. So in that step-by-step document, all these steps are listed. So now we need to select the software location where we want to install Oracle Goldengate. So let us let us go to U01 app. You can choose any location for installation. So we'll choose this location, we'll install Oracle Goldengate in product. So here we'll create one directory as gg source 1. So we'll create Goldengate directory as gg source 1 where all the Goldengate binaries will be, where this binaries will be installed. So what we'll do now, we'll provide this location. So we'll go to GG, so we'll select the GG source one and open it. So our Goldengate will be installed, the binaries will be installed in GG source one. Now you have the option of, now if you see here, you have the option of starting the manager process. Now what is manager process in Oracle Goldengate? Now if we look at the architecture, we have seen three Goldengate processes: capture, pump and delivery process. And along with that we have seen the trail file. Now these all are Goldengate resources. Capture, pump, delivery and trail files are Goldengate resources. Now on top of that, to manage these Goldengate resources, you have one manager process sitting at the top. The manager process, as the name suggests, it manages the Goldengate resources in its environment. Every Goldengate instance will have its own manager. There would be one and only one manager in an environment. So you need to provide a manager process runs on a port. This port number will be provided to you by the network team. So you need to select the port. So you have the option while doing the installation only, you have the option of checking this box, starting the manager, or if you don't want to start the manager during installation, it's up to you. So what we'll do one installation on Ggate 1 with checking this box, and we'll do another installation on Ggate 2 by unchecking this box. So let us proceed by checking this box. So we'll be starting the manager on Ggate 1. So here when you start the manager, it asks for the database location as well. So you need to provide the database home. So database home is U01 app Oracle product 12.1.0 db_1. And you need to provide the manager port on which this manager will run on. This port should be open and it will be provided to you by the network team in your organization. However, in our case, we are going to use default ports 7809, 8080. These are the default ports. So by default, they are open. So we are going to use 7809 for our purpose. So once you are done, once you have defined the location, once you have defined the database home, and once you have defined the port number, click on next. So once you click on next, it will ask you to review the details here. Once you have reviewed, click on install. So now installation of Oracle Goldengate will start, and installation will be finished in next 2 to 3 minutes. It doesn't take long. So once the installation will be completed, you will get the message Goldengate installation was successful. So see, this Goldengate is getting installed in U01 app Oracle product GG source 1. The directory which we had specified, in that directory the Goldengate binaries are getting installed. So right now it's 58%, 62% completed. Once it's 100%, you will get the message that it is completed. So your Ggate 1 installation of Oracle Goldengate will be completed once you get that message. So let us wait for it to be completed. So in the meanwhile, if any question you have, you may ask. So you have received the message, installation of Oracle Goldengate was successful. Close it. Now you can close it. So your installation, once your installation is successful, now what we'll do, we'll go to that location where we have installed Oracle Goldengate. So our Oracle Goldengate we have installed in GG source 1. So let us go to GG source 1 directory. So here if we see, we can find that Goldengate has been installed in this location, and the files and directories you can find over here. So all the binaries of Oracle Goldengate are present in this directory now. So to log in into Goldengate prompt, you need to do ggSCI. ggSCI is a executable. ggSCI stands for Goldengate Software Command Interface. So it is an exe file. So once you do ggSCI, you will be into Goldengate command prompt. ggSCI stands for Goldengate Software Command Interface. So see, once we have done ggSCI, we are into Goldengate prompt. So it says that this version of Goldengate is 12.2.0.1, and it is a Oracle 12c for Linux x64-bit, and we are into ggSCI. Now, to check what all processes are configured in your environment, you do info all. Info all will list what all Goldengate processes are configured in your environment. Now, manager process, by default it comes. By default, manager process is present when you do the installation. Now, since we choose to start the manager, as a result it is showing you the option as running. If you would have chosen the option of not starting, then the status would have been stopped. So since we chose the option of starting the manager, as a result the status of manager is showing as running. That means during the installation only we have chosen that manager should be up and running in our environment. So only manager would be there. So now to exit from the prompt, you need to do exit. So when we do exit from here and do ls-lart, we find that there are other binaries are present for December 12, 2015 when Goldengate was, these binaries were configured. However, some of the directories are there which have today's date, like dir SQL, dir def, dir chk, dir wallet, dir temp, dir dmp, dir dat, dir crd, dir prm, dir rpt. So Goldengate functionality depend on all these directories. dir chk stands for checkpoint directory. dir SQL stores the SQL scripts. dir definition stores the definition file which you generate. Wallet stores the credentials. Then dir temp is a temporary directory. Suppose you want to allocate some temporary storage to the extract process, then you can use dir temp. Then dir dat stores the trail files. dir dmp stores the dump files. dir crd, it stores the credential store. dir PRM stores the parameter file, dir RPT, it stores the report file, dir PCS, it's a process status file. Now if we see each directory individually, you will find that most of the directories will be empty. So if we go ahead and look at dir RPT first of all, so you will find that there you have only manager process. The reason being manager process is up and running. As a result, you will find that mgr.rpt is there. Apart from that, nothing else would be there. Similarly, if we go to dir chk, there you won't find anything because nothing else is configured. If we go to dir prm, there you will find only manager parameter file over there. Goldengate functionality is a lot dependent on these directories which have been created. The functionality of Oracle Goldengate is very much dependent on these directories. If you lose any of these directories, the functionality of Goldengate could be hampered. Similarly, if we go to dir PCS, you will find only manager file over here. So your functionality, whenever you log into GGSCI, to log into GGSCI do Goldengate software command interface, you need to do /GGSCI. So whenever you see any information on this prompt, from where are you getting this information? Suppose you're getting that it's a manager process, what is the status? Later on, once we'll be adding the extract, data pump or replicate, so we'll have more information. So from where does it get this information? It gets these informations from these directories. So functionality of Oracle Goldengate is dependent on these directories. So your source side, that is Ggate 1 installation, is completed. Now let us go ahead and do the installation on Ggate 2. So just like you identified what is your source database and source platform on which your database is hosted upon, you need to download the binaries accordingly. Similarly, now you have to do the same exercise for Ggate 2 as well. Now on Ggate 2, in our scenario, we again have same Oracle database and Linux. So we are going to use these option only. We are going to download the same binaries. So you accept the license agreement, click on this, and then sign in with your username and Oracle username and password. Once you are done with that, you can install these binaries. So once you have installed the binaries, transfer them to your server. However, for this training purpose, Ggate 1, but the virtual boxes have the Goldengate binaries. So now let us start the downloading of Oracle Goldengate on Ggate 2 as well. So the binaries installation needs to be done using Oracle user, or in your organization it may happen that Oracle user is because Oracle user is hosted with it is supported for Oracle database. So as a result, in many organizations you need to create separate user for Oracle Goldengate purpose. So you can create OGG or any other user. And some organization allow Goldengate to be installed with Oracle user only. So in our case, we are using Oracle user. So once you have done, you are logged in as Oracle. So in /home/Oracle, you have Oracle Goldengate binaries. So Oracle Goldengate binaries again here are same. So first you need to unzip it. So unzip the binaries. So unzipping is in progress. So once your unzip happens, then you need to start the installation. So unzipped happened. So it has been unzipped to this folder. So now you need to run the run installer. So before running the run installer, you need to set up the display. So let us log in with the root and do xhost plus. Once you have done that, now you can run installer. So it will do some prerequisite check temp space, swap space. Once everything is done, it will open a GUI for you. So again, same thing, it will ask select the database for which this Goldengate installation is. So it is possible, Goldengate is supported for downward compatibility as well. So for example, your source database is in 12C, your target is 10G. You can replicate the data. Or if your source database is 10G and you want to replicate it to 12C, it is possible with Oracle Goldengate. However, you need to select the correct binaries when you are doing the replication. You need to identify the database, source platform. You need to identify target database, target platform as well. So now on target, you need to select the database for this Oracle Goldengate installation. So again, our target is hosted on Oracle Goldengate for Oracle Database 12c. So we'll select the first option. We'll click on next. Now here again it will ask us where do you want to install Oracle Goldengate. So let us let us go to U01 app Oracle product. Now here we'll create one directory as gg target 2. So on ggate 1 we created gg source 1. On target we'll create gg target 2. The reason being it is ggate 2. So for naming convention we are using the name as 2. You can use any name. So now we'll be installing Oracle Goldengate in gg target 2. So let us specify this location. So gg target 2, open it. Now here when we installed on ggate 1 we checked that box. Here we'll uncheck this box. That means manager won't be started during the installation. So let us click on next and review the output and click on install. So see, it says disk space required is 799 MB and available is 3.89 GB in our case. So click on install. So once you click on install, your installation of Oracle Goldengate will start, and it will be installed into U01 app Oracle product gg target 2. So once it would be successful, so herein you will get the message Goldengate installation was successful. So it's now 100%, so it is about to be completed. So let us now check the directory. Once it gives you the message, then we'll check the message. Goldengate installation is pretty simple. So close it once you get the message, and then go to gg target 2. So here again, to log into ggsci prompt, you need to do ggsci. Once you do ggsci, you will be logged into Goldengate prompt. To check here, now do info all to check what all Goldengate processes are configured in your environment. You need to do info all. Now once you are doing info all, you can find here manager. By every Goldengate instance will have its own manager, and manager requires a port to run on. Now during the installation on Ggate 2, we chose the option that don't start them. We unchecked that box. As a result, manager is in stopped mode right now. So here now to start this, you need to define the port. Now how do you define the port in Oracle Goldengate? So let us first of all check the Goldengate directory where Goldengate has been installed. So if you see here now, if we check here, we find that the directories which were created on Ggate 1, those directories are not part of Ggate 2 right now. Those directories are not part of this Ggate 2. The reason being, when you start the manager, automatically those binaries gets created. However, here in this scenario, since we unchecked the box and manager wasn't started, as a result, Goldengate directories are not created. So now how to create? Do you need to create manually all these directories? Now, what you need to do? You need to log into ggSCI prompt and do create sub dirs. Create sub dirs. That means it will create sub directories. Once you do create sub dirs, it says create subdirectories under current directory. So parameter file, report file, checkpoint file, dir PCS which is process status, SQL script file, database definition file dir def, extract data file which is dir det, temporary files, credential store files, master key wallet files and dump files. All these directories are created when you do create subdirs. Now exit from here, and when you do ls-lart over here, you can find that all the directories are created by default. Dir wallet, dir temp, dir SQL, dir rpt, dir prm, PCS, dump, dir def, dir det, and they have been created just now. You can check the timestamp as well. May 24, 22:42. In our case, the timing is 22:43. So just now they have been created. How? Create using the command create subdirs in ggSCI prompt. So now once the directories are created, now your Goldengate configuration is almost done. However, prior to now you need to start the manager. So how can you start the manager? You can do start mgr. When you do start mgr, it says that parameter file does not exist. So have we specified here anywhere the port number? If you remember, when we did the installation on Ggate 1, we defined the port 7809. Manager requires a port to run on. So we defined a port number over there. However, on Ggate 2, which is our target, we haven't defined a port number. So where do you define the port number? The port number is defined in the parameter files. Every process has its own parameter file. So manager again is a process. It will have its own parameter file. So now how will you define the port for manager? So prior to that, if we check before defining the port number, let me show you the directories in Ggate 2 right now. So if we check dir dat, you will find that this directory is empty. Nothing would be there. Similarly, if we go to dir prn, same thing here. Nothing would be there right now. In Ggate 1, why it was present? Because manager was running. As a result, some of the files related to manager were present in these directories. However, on Ggate 2, all these directories will be completely empty. They won't have anything. So dir chk, again, it doesn't have anything. When we go to dir rpt, again, nothing would be there. So now how to define port number for manager? you can do edit param mgr. Edit param mgr. To create parameter file for any process, we'll be discussing how to create parameters, what are the parameters in detail. However, just for your information for now, to create parameter file for any process, you need to use edit param and process name. So manager is again a process. So you can do edit param mgr. Once you do edit param mgr, you can do port and you can define port number over here. Now this port number will be given to you by network team. This port should be open. By default, some default ports are open. However, for security purpose, in production environment, you won't be using these 7809 or 8080, the default ports, because they are not secure. And security is one of the major concern for any organization. However, in our case, we can use these ports. So once you create this parameter file, save this, close this, now you can start the manager process. When you do start mgr and do info all, you can find that manage status of manager says it is running now. So the manager process is now successfully running on Ggate 1 as well as Ggate 2. Now if we go ahead and look the directories now on Ggate 2, you will find that in dir prm it contains manager parameter file. If we go to dir rpt contains the report file. So dir rpt now contains mgr.rpt. So wherever it is now required for manager files, you can find manager related files in the directories. So your installation of Oracle Goldengate is now successfully done on both source as well as target. So let us revisit what we have done. We downloaded Oracle Goldengate from the Oracle website. So before downloading, what you need to do is you need to identify your database, type of database and the platform on which it is hosted. Based on that, you will download the binaries. Once you have downloaded the binaries, you will unzip the binaries. You will define the location where the installation will happen. Based on that, you will install the Goldengate. Once the installation is successful, go to the Goldengate home. Now this is the Goldengate home where you have downloaded the binaries. This is the Goldengate home. Go to Goldengate home. From Goldengate home, do /ggsci and you will be into Goldengate prompt. To check what all processes are configured in your environment, you can do info all. Now there is no definitive way wherein you can say that should you start the manager during installation or should you not start the manager. So if you know the port number, if you have the port number, etc., every detail handy, then you can choose to start the manager during installation itself. If you don't have that information, then you can install Oracle Goldengate without starting the manager during installation and provide these information manually later on. Once you have done all this, the installation of Oracle Goldengate is successful from between source and target, and now you are good to go ahead to do your first configuration for setting up the configuration between source and target. So any question on installation you may ask. So now what we'll do, so for installation purpose you can download and then do create sub-dirs. So dir chk is a directory which stores Oracle Goldengate checkpoint files. So checkpoint is a process which ensures data integrity in your environment. Dir dat, it stores the trail files. Dir def, it stores the definition files. Dir pcs, it stores the process status. Parameter file, are stored in dir PRM. dir RPT stores the report file. dir SQL, it stores the SQL scripts. dir TMP, if you want to provide some temporary storage for transactions, then you can use dir TMP. So now once your installation is successful, now you can go ahead and start the configuration of Oracle Goldengate. So for configuration purpose, we are just going to follow the architecture. Okay. So prior to that, we first need to do some prerequisites. So first of all, you need to identify your source and target. Once the installation is completed, next is you need to identify from where to where you need to install Oracle Goldengate. You need to do the Goldengate configuration. You need to define the source. You need to define the target as well. So source you will be means whatever the application does at source, it will be replicated to target database. So on Ggate 1 will be our source, as we mentioned. Ggate 2 will be our target. So on Ggate 1 we have schema as GG training 1. So let us first of all see what is the database we have over here. So in our case, we are going to use pluggable container multi-tenant architecture. So on source we have multi-tenant, on target we have multi-tenant database. So we will be having container and pluggable database. So our source database is PDB1 and target is PDB2. So when we do show PDBs, so PDB here is PDB1. On Ggate 1, pluggable database is PDB1, and on Ggate 2, pluggable database is PDB2. So we have schema created as GG training 1. Application schema on Ggate 1 is GG training 1, and application schema on Ggate 2 is GG training 2. So GG training 1 slash welcome 1 at the rate PDB1. So our source schema will be GG training 1. Our source database is PDB1. Source schema is GG training 1. Our target database is PDB2, and target schema name is GG training 2. And in this we'll create two tables. So for these tables we'll run one script called as ddl.sql. Now again, with ddl, this script is part of your training kit. So when you run this ddl.sql, okay, it's kept in /home/oracle. So .sql. So this ddl.sql is part of your training kit as well. So when you run ddl.sql, it will create two tables, which is emp1 and dept1 on source. Similarly, it will create emp2 and dept2 on target. So let us run this sql plus gg training 1 slash welcome 1 at the rate pdb1. So we'll run ddl.sql. So it will create two tables in GG training 1. So DPT1 and EMP1 are created on Ggate 1. Similarly, for target, will here as well create two tables, which is DEPT2 and EMP2. GG training 2. So here again we'll run ddl.sql. So it will create two tables over here. DEPT2 and EMP2. DEPT underscore copy2 was present from earlier. So we'll be using this table later on. For now, we'll be using DEPT2 and EMP2. So we are going to replicate the data from pdb1.ggtraining1.dept1 to pdb2.ggtraining2.dept2. Similarly, we'll be replicating data from pdb1.ggtraining1.emp1 to pdb2.ggtraining2.emp2. So our source and target is identified. Goldengate installation is successful. Once all these things are met, next is you need to meet some prerequisites at the database level before you can proceed with the Goldengate configuration. So we are going to do the transactions on DEPT1 table, which is part of GG training 1 schema, and we'll be replicating it to DEPT2 table, which is part of GG training 2 schema. So let us now meet the prerequisite. Let us see what are the prerequisites required for Oracle Goldengate. So for this purpose, we are going to use the document DML replication using Oracle Goldengate 12c multi-tenant architecture. So this again will be shared with you. So we need, prior to we can do the configuration, we can do the replication. So for the replication purpose, we need to set up the capture process. We need to capture the pump. We need to set up the pump process. We need to create the delivery process. Along with that, we need to define the remote trails and local trails. However, before you do these setup, before you create these processes, you need to meet some prerequisites for Goldengate purpose. So what are those prerequisites? Let us see that. So at the database level, first of all, let us meet prerequisites at source. So at source, what are the prerequisites? I closed it by mistake. The document is this, integrated mode. This is the document, integrated mode. Okay, so now let us meet the prerequisites. So prerequisite, there are 4 prerequisites which you need to meet at source. So first of all, at source side, what are the prerequisites? And these prerequisites are at the database level. So first prerequisite is you need to set this parameter, enable Goldengate replication to true. This parameter should be set to true. If this parameter is not true, by default it is false. So if it is not true, your Goldengate extraction or replication won't work. So let us set this parameter. So alter system set enable Goldengate replication equal to true. Alter system set enable Goldengate replication equal to true. So it says system altered. So you can check show parameter enable Goldengate replication. So it is set to true now. So this parameter should be set to true. Next is you need to create a Goldengate user which will be responsible for the replication extraction purpose. Now see why you need to create a Goldengate user over here. Now a Goldengate user is required to be created on both source as well as target. So you need to create a Goldengate user on source database as well as on the target database. So on source you have multiple schemas. You have multiple schemas and multiple objects. So capture process is going to read the data from multiple objects which are part of different schemas. So for that purpose, you create a Goldengate user which will be responsible for extraction purpose to read the data of multiple schemas. Similarly, on target as well, your delivery process applies the data. However, using what it applies the data, you create a Goldengate user. That Goldengate user does the applying part on the target database. So you need to create a Goldengate user on both source as well as target database. Now in 12c, in multi-tenant architecture, it needs to be created on a container database. You need to create a user in 12c in container database, and it needs to be a common user. So the common user in 12c starts with prefix c hash hash. If you are using non-multi-tenant architecture, then there is no naming convention restriction. You can use any naming convention. However, if you are using multi-tenant architecture, which is again a future and present right now, in that scenario, you need to create a common user inside container database with prefix c hash hash. So let us create one user over here. So we'll create, so we are connected to container database only, and here we'll create one user, create user c hash hash source 1 identified by welcome 1. So once you create a user over here, it will be created. Now since we created a user with prefix c hash hash, so this user will now be available in all the containers and pluggables which are part of this Oracle instance. So as a result, you will be creating a user with c hash hash. C hash hash stands for common user and common role. Now once you have done that, you need to provide a privilege to it. So you provide DBA privilege to this user. So grant DBA to c hash hash source 1. So this user will be responsible for the extraction purpose of data. So this user will be used by Goldengate for the extraction purpose. So once you have created a user, you need to grant a DBA privilege. The reason why we need to grant a DBA privilege is because basically this capture process is reading the data of different objects. As a result, you need to define the DBA. So we have met two prerequisites on source. First is we set this parameter enable Goldengate replication to true on source, and we created one user, one common user, which is c hash hash source 1. You can use any username. So we created one user. Also table space. Now in some organization you need to create separate table space for Goldengate, and in some organization you can use users table space. So it depends. So if you are asked to use common tables, if you are asked to use default table space, then you need to create another table space for exclusively for Goldengate user, or you can use any table space. See, all depends on organization policy. Many organizations have now accepted Goldengate as a integral part of their setup. So they have defined some policies, and some organizations are still haven't still set up the policies for Oracle Goldengate. So it depends. So if we talk about big organizations like British Telecom, AT&T, Vodafone, so they have some defined strategy, like the naming convention should be like this, the table space needs to be separate. So in that scenario you will use separate table space. So first and second prerequisites are met. Third prerequisite is you need to add supplemental logging for all columns. So this is a prerequisite which is required for every change data capture tool. So alter database, add supplemental log data all columns. So we'll be discussing more on supplemental logging tomorrow. So you need to add supplemental logging for all columns at the database level. Later on tomorrow we'll be adding supplemental logging at the object level as well. So we'll be discussing supplemental logging in detail tomorrow. So this is the third prerequisite. You need to enable supplemental logging for all columns at the database level. How you can see whether it has been enabled successfully or not? You can do in $$ database, there is a column called as supplemental log data all. So you can check this, select supplemental log data all from $$ database. So it says yes. That means supplemental logging for all columns has been enabled. Then fourth prerequisite is you need to grant DBA. So we have granted the DBA. And fifth prerequisite is, which is one of the most important prerequisite, your database should be in archive log mode. Now when I created the database, I kept the database as in archive log mode. So here in my case, I don't think I need to do this change. However, when you are doing the configuration, you need to check whether database is in archive log mode or not. If database is not in archive log mode, you need to set it up in archive log mode. So here we have our database in archive log mode only. So once all these prerequisites are met, your source side prerequisite is successful. So what we did, we set the parameter enable Goldengate replication to true. Then we created a Goldengate user, granted a DBA privilege, and then we added the supplemental logging at database level for all columns, and then we put the database in archive log mode. So these four prerequisites are at the source database level. On the target database level, what we'll do, we need to define two privileges. First is we need to set this parameter enable Goldengate replication to true, and then we need to create Goldengate user and grant DBA privilege to that user. So let us go to Gate 2 now. So first we'll do alter system set enable Goldengate replication equal to true. Once we have done that, it says system altered. So do show parameter enable Goldengate replication. So enable Goldengate replication is now set to true. Second prerequisite is you need to create a Goldengate user. Now again here as well, since our target date source and target both are multi-tenant architecture, both are multi-tenant databases. So here again you will need to create a common user. Here again you will be creating a common user. You will be creating a user with prefix c hash hash. So do create user c hash hash target 2. We created over there c hash hash source 1. Here we'll create c hash hash target 2. If you are using non-multi-tenant architecture, you can use any name. There is no requirement to give c hash hash in that scenario. So create user C hash target to identified by welcome one. Once you have done that, it will create a Goldengate user. Next is you need to grant DBA. So what you can do alter system, alter session, set container equal to pdb2, and then grant DBA to C hash target, and we need to grant DBA to this user in container as well. Target 2. So our prerequisites on target is met as well. So what we did as a prerequisite on source, we set this parameter enable Goldengate replication to true. We granted a we created a Goldengate user, granted a DBA privilege, then we enabled the supplemental logging at all columns, and then we put the databases in archive log mode. On target, there are only two prerequisites. First is set the enable Goldengate replication to true, and next is create a Goldengate user and grant a DBA privilege. So once all these prerequisites are met, you are good to go ahead and create these processes, capture, pump and delivery, along with the trail files on source and target. So tomorrow we'll be starting with creating the capture process, defining the trail files, creating the pump, and defining the delivery processes. So the advantage of using Oracle Goldengate is your source database name could be different, target database name could be different. Your source schema name could be different, target schema name could be different. Source table name could be different, target table name could be different. Source column names in the tables could be different, target column names could be different. Structure of table on source could be different, target table structure could be different. See, when you are replicating the data from Oracle to MySQL, so the way data is stored in Oracle database, it would be different in DB2 database, MySQL database. So automatically Goldengate manages it. Now the question comes is, we have seen installation of Goldengate in not standalone environment. Now what happens when you install Goldengate in clustered environment, rack environment? So what happens in clustered environment? See, the best advantage of Goldengate is, even if you are installing Oracle Goldengate on rack, it is treated as standalone only. So in clustered environment, in rack environment, first of all you define a common directories between all. Suppose you have 3 node rack environment. So what you do in rack environment, you define first of all a common directory, and then you install Oracle Goldengate on each node. However, remember, in rack environment, the processes runs only from one node. You will install Goldengate on each node. You will be configuring the processes on each node. However, the Goldengate processes runs only from one node. The other node processes becomes active only in the case if your first node is down. If your first node is running properly, the second node processes will be, you will configure them, but they would be down. Yeah, so in the virtual machine, what we have provided, there is, you just need to define the, you can just go ahead and start the manager with the default port. Okay, so manager process, remember the manager process, what you have, they are specific to Goldengate instance. They are not specific to the database. So the number of Goldengate instances you have, same number of manager processes you have. So in the same Goldengate instance, you can create multiple extract process which can extract the data from multiple databases. So we'll be meeting tomorrow at the same time on the same link. So link will be same.